Hello, this is Pigsy doing another video. Just some thoughts today. I was watching some YouTube video and it mentioned about some strange, actually I heard it on the radio, and it mentioned about some strange sort of low humming noises. And basically, it's been mentioned before, is that these there's either a few things. It's either a part of this ascension process, or of the actual planet as well. So the planet's getting bigger. That's why you're getting lots of these sinkholes turning up. The other issue, or whatever else is going on, is maybe a bit of fear around Nibiru, and the government putting loads of money into digging out these underground bases, just basically a survival strategy. Another issue we could be happening, basically they're pushing for this World War III agenda with sections of Europe and having a battle with Russia, and it's likely that there's a connecting infrastructure that would run from the US, link up to the UK, and possibly into Europe as well. So what would happen in a situation where nuclear weapons were used, you'd get a group of elite who would go underground on all sides, basically. They'd also have a type of army that would deploy as well, but they would send them to the enemy lines via an underground method. So you wouldn't, basically nuclear bombs would be obsolete. Actually it's a waste of time, because if you use underground, you're not going to bomb with nukes, are you? And they're not going to be affected by the radiation. They just need to expand underground and come up in certain areas and then capture resources. And basically, if there's a link between the Ukraine, then they would flood into the country that way, militarised from that point. I don't think any of the tunnels are big enough to take any large machines. Another way you could do it also is that if you can sense, say, nuclear power stations and things like that, you could bore underneath them and then set high explosives. You could even set a nuclear charge just on the surface and deliver the nukes, just drive them there. Just basically, they use a network of underground trains and transport system. You only have to send smaller nukes via this network, all round tunnels after, say, a nuclear war, or you could have them set already. So once you cause a massive distraction in some way, like God forbid, if say you set a nuclear device off in Crimea, or you launched a nuclear attack in say Iran or the other side, what would happen is that would bring around a sort of chaotic situation. You detonate this nukes, but then basically just attack, just go out a full out attack. Once you start something, once you can goad the enemy into making a mistake or acting, then you can attack them with the trousers down, basically. Why they deploy troops and send it over to directly sort of confront US and Western military powers, and like planes that go over and so on. You would basically infiltrate the civilian population with an army that are already on the ground. Use a sort of collaborated NATO force, or what you do is set them up to have like a boundary. So you set your trenches up, they're attacking them from a distance, and then you just have this surprise army that would turn up in the middle of, say, Moscow or wherever. For myself, if I kind of deployed a war strategy, it wouldn't be to fight people at their own level. You need to fight them in different ways. You need to have a more cunning approach. So as well as planting your sleeper cells in there, you want to attack from all different angles. I did hear something, the evolution of warfare, that in the past it was first it by land and then by sea, and then it's been by air. Now they're looking at different sort of weaponised cyber warfare, like if you can hack and attack main installations. I mean, there's always been financial warfare as well, and the banking system either generates poverty or heavily invests in particular areas where it can benefit, and then it can emerge as a power within that country. So yeah, okay. Going back to the evolution of the combat, I mean, if they're using the weather systems, but that can be countered because intelligence would look at both sides of that. Underground would be a lot harder, so you'd have to look at methods of causing earthquakes, tremors and other things to disrupt anything that's going on underground. And then I guess the ultimate probably from space as well, because if you position a nuke above a country in space, you can basically just drop it, and it could just accelerate as it leads to impact. So it's going to produce very little interference, apart from a satellite out there, but they just take out the satellites. So warfare's on different fronts. A lot of experimental warfare takes part on this planet. There's also been deployed on other planets. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on out there. Stuff mentioned by David Wilcox, I think, is spot on, and other alternative media celebrities, we might as well say, because 100, like I mentioned before, 100,000, 100 billion spent on a militarised system for a submarine that's probably kitted with maybe 6 to 8 nuclear warheads. I mean, it's inefficient. It just doesn't make any sense, because once you know where it is, you can track it and target it anyway. It's a vulnerable sitting duck. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a bit more intelligent than some of these people, but what you'd have is more of like a drone type nukes, and then set them up for a program. So what happens is that you can guide them to where you want them to be, and you can set them off. But you could also set them up with an intelligence system, so if they're approached or attacked, they automatically attack, and then have them so they can both go underwater and they can go in air. So you've got like a flying fish system basically. So because basically with the strategy would be that you can attack by land and sea and by air, but if you have a craft that can go between the different terrains, it's a lot more difficult to counter, because it means the way the system's set up with different departments manage different things, like the Navy, the Army. So if you have a threat that becomes a military type threat, the Army want to get involved. But if it switched, it becomes say it went underwater, or it was subterranean, where it would require different strategy. They would actually be more difficult intelligence-wise, because they're divided, because they're not unified into one system. So this is the thing about this new world order. They want everything divided, but shouldn't they unify their own military? Shouldn't you have like Navy and Army and everything under one hat, instead of having it all divided up? With developments in cyber warfare, they were looking at ways to prolong life in soldiers, and have a strategy whereby if they're down they can reduce bleeding, or potentially if they're injured or incapacitated mentally, that they could have a way they could be animated or controlled. So you've got It's a little bit like Resident Evil, you know, this idea that you have a way a soldier can be weaponised if they're downed, like turned into a type of zombie. Well, that would be the strategy. Have a way they can still use them in some way. It could be that there's a way to prolong the use of their organs, so you could use them in warfare for organ transplant. It could be that they've got tracking devices inside them, so that when they're downed, your own squadron can locate them, because they'd have this like GPS fitted into them, and they could even have an explosive device fitted into them, or some biotoxin or something that could be released. I mean, it could be that the person's dying and you can read their bio rhythms, and what you want them to do is, if they take them back as a prisoner, and detonate them or release whatever biotoxin, and that way cause maximum damage in a place that's to do with like medicine and stuff like that. There's also other systems like psi warfare, and it's not clairvoyant, looking into the crystal ball, or someone taking card readings. It's a different mapping of the energetics and how they can weaponise that. So, some of this has been going on with like subliminals. With the psi, it covers the psychology, the consciousness, and the spirituality. So there's a whole department focused on basically different warfare. Even this research into cancer, it's really looking at different ways to create it and control it, so that way you can kind of operate a system of control. Anyway, this is Pigsy signing off. Pleasure to speak to you, and speak to you soon.